Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating piece from Dance Chicago by Vladislav Knight. It tackles a struggle that I know so many parents face, the after-school activity guessing game. You know the drill, right? You're constantly trying to balance finding something your kids will actually enjoy with something that genuinely builds real-life skills. We almost always default to the usual suspects: soccer, piano, maybe theater. But today's source material presents a surprisingly comprehensive alternative, highlighting a discipline that brings a totally distinct set of advantages to youth development. It really boils down to one core question: what does an activity actually build? It's a great hook because it challenges our baseline assumptions. Are these programs just, burning off energy until dinner? Or are they actively fostering measurable growth? When we look through that specific lens, the criteria for a good activity completely changes. So, to explore that, we're going to quickly unpack the 4 unique pillars of youth ballroom dance highlighted in our source: a structured path to mastery, social growth through teamwork, building confidence on stage, and finally, fitness that feels like art. All right, let's dive right into our first pillar, a structured path to mastery, and why this goes way beyond just learning a few steps. Think about a typical youth sport for a second. A lot of the time, the day-to-day focus just gets swallowed up by practicing for one single upcoming game, or maybe a one-off performance at the end of the season. The actual learning outcomes can get pretty murky. Ballroom dance, however, actively avoids this trap. It provides a highly tangible, organized skill progression rather than just a vague practice session. According to our source, this progression is broken down into very specific, learnable components. Students aren't just told to go out there and dance better. No, they are systematically taught technique, timing, posture, and musicality. A young dancer always knows exactly which of these 4 elements they're actively focusing on during any given lesson. And what's really cool is how those fundamental components translate into trackable growth. Young dancers begin to physically feel their balance improving, they literally see their coordination and consistency sharpening, and they learn exactly how to channel their expression. It takes this big abstract idea of getting better and turns it into concrete, recognizable milestones. Which brings us perfectly to our second pillar: social growth through real, applied teamwork. Beyond just the physical steps, ballroom is incredibly unique because it is inherently collaborative. When you really get down to the mechanics, so many activities prioritize individual performance. But because ballroom is partner-led, you just cannot succeed in isolation. You're sharing space, you're coordinating movement with another human being, and that demands intense communication, trust, and learning how to give and take feedback gracefully. The article captures this dynamic perfectly. It notes that kids practice adapting in real time to another person's cues, leading to growth in empathy, patience, and responsiveness. Just think about the immense social value of that real-time adaptability. They aren't just memorizing a routine. They are learning to read another person and stay responsive under pressure. That is a massive life skill. And that real-time adaptability naturally builds right into our third pillar: building confidence on stage through coachable presentation. A huge part of the ballroom experience involves getting up in front of people. Whether that's high-stakes competitions, local showcases, or just informal recitals, kids are actively practicing presentation skills. They learn the actual mechanics of standing calmly, moving with intention, and handling those pre-show nerves. This deliberate practice builds a deep, internalized confidence that absolutely translates to giving a school presentation or, down the road, walking into a job interview. And crucially, they aren't doing this alone. The article highlights what it calls the feedback loop. Unlike activities where you might only get a performance review at the very end of a long season, ballroom relies on frequent, detailed evaluation on things like body control, styling, and rhythm. For parents, this is huge because it offers a remarkably transparent view of their child's week-to-week progress. Now, of course, we can't talk about dance without addressing the physical side of things, which brings us to our 4th and final pillar: fitness that feels like art. Look, we all know getting kids to exercise is absolutely vital, but let's be honest, running laps gets boring fast. Ballroom solves this by being an incredibly comprehensive, full-body workout. The physical effort is equally divided across cardiovascular endurance, core stability, leg strength, and flexibility. The physical demands here are genuinely just as rigorous as any traditional sport. But here is the secret sauce. All of those fitness benefits are delivered purposefully. Artistic movement with intent is just far more engaging than repetitive gym drills. The styling, the choreography, the music, it all makes the physical exertion feel like art. This means kids who might normally check out during standard exercise stay completely engaged. Plus, this highly controlled movement builds a distinctive athletic foundation. It encourages the safe development of coordination, strict control of pace, and moving with undeniable style. By mastering this range of motion, dancers build a level of body awareness that carries over directly into literally any other athletic endeavor. So let's look at how all of this comes together to form a truly balanced pathway. We've seen how structured progression, partner-based teamwork, presentation skills, and artistic fitness all combine into a seriously multifaceted approach. So, based on everything we've just unpacked, how should we redefine athletic and artistic success for the next generation? If we truly want a generation that builds core strength alongside empathy and musicality alongside a mental adaptability, we might need to look a little outside the box for activities that offer this kind of comprehensive balance. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you some fascinating new insights to think about.